Thank you, Samba, for such an amazing intro. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. It's great to have you all here. I'm Rashika, and I'll be speaking on time management. Basically, I will be sharing time management tips that I use for myself and share tips from people I really acknowledge and look up to. So, who am I? I'm pre-final engineering student in digital learning research lab. With that, I am Microsoft student partner where I work closely with MSPs and organize events like such. Also, I am member of Nepali Women in Computing, which is one of the anitaB.org sisters affinity group. And currently, I'm doing my internship in the field of data science in D Analytic. You can find my social media. We can find me on social media by going in the details given below. So yeah, let's get started. Why time management? Um, why did I choose this topic out of all the topics there are out there? So the reason why I wanted to talk about time management is because this is something I really struggled with for a long time. I used to do a really bad job at managing my time, um, and I had to learn managing my time in a hard way. So yeah, going 2 years back, म second semester मा हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ MIT organized a 2 months long intensive boot camp, and luckily I got selected to attend it. But I was not completely aware about how hectic my 2 months are going to be. So त्यो बुट क्याम्प सुरु भएपछि चाहिँ मेरो विकली रुटिन भनेको चाहिँ यस्तो हुन्थ्यो 7 बजी उठ्यो 7:30सम्म रेडी भएर कलेजको लागि गएपछि एन्ड देन 4 बजीसम्म त कलेज नै हुन्थ्यो त्यसपछि आई ह्याड टु रस ब्याक टु ट्रेनिङ सेन्टर होइन ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ मेरो 6 बजीदेखि सुरु हुन्थ्यो अनि मेरो कलेज धुलीखेलबाट ट्रेनिङ काठमाडौँमा हुन्थ्यो सो मेरो कलेज धुलीखेलबाट मलाई काठमाडौँसम्म त्यो दिउँसोको जाममा पुग्नलाई 2 घन्टै लाग्थ्यो सो इट वाज सो 6 बजीदेखि त ट्रेनिङ सुरु भयो एन्ड देन द ट्रेनिङ युज टु लास्ट टिल 10 PM होइन अनि इट वाज अनि म घर पुग्दाखेरि त रातिको 10-11 नै बजिसकेको हुन्थ्यो सुरुको फ्यु विक्ससम्म चाहिँ इट वाज म्यानेजेबल भनौँ न किनकि कलेजबाट प्रेसर थिएन बट देन सर्टेन विक पछि चाहिँ मेरो कलेजबाट पनि धेरै प्रेसर आउन थाल्यो बिकज वी वर एट द एन्ड अफ आवर सेमेस्टर अनि सबै प्रेजेन्टेसन भाइभाज इन्टरनल एक्जाम सबै एकैचोटि भइरहेको थियो अनि इभन इट वाज लाइक फर्स्ट इयर थियो सो इन्जिनियरिङ ड्रइङ भन्ने सब्जेक्ट थियो सो आई ह्याड टु प्रिपेयर ड्रइङ सेट्स एन्ड एभ्रिथिङ वाज सबै टाइमै जस्तो भयो कि एन्ड द्याट वाज वेन आई रियली ह्याड टु लर्न टाइम म्यानेजमेन्ट होइन सो त्यही टाइमदेखि सिकेको कुराहरू चाहिँ आई वान्ट टु सेयर टुडे विथ यु अल Thomas A. Edison said, there is time for everything. Thomas A. Edison must be one of the most busiest person out there, and even he said that there is time for everything. अब we can argue on this point है त्यति बेला मोबाइल हुँदैन थियो इन्टरनेट हुँदैन थियो social medias and then PUBG then so there was less distraction so maybe everything was achievable titi bela haina but aba ta iti dhera distractions so maybe we can twist this in a way let's say but at least we can strive for there is time for everything that's important right अनि त्यसको लागि we have to अनि त्यसको लागि चाहिँ we have to have clear picture of what's important for you and what's your priority what's your goal both long term and short term and what you need to do to achieve them today and with that my first tip for managing time will be to know what's important to you and learn to prioritize time for it. Proper time management is a skill and it can be learned and can be mastered. So like I've shared earlier, and I was really bad at managing my time. Managing my time, but with time, I really believe that I have started getting better at it. It's still a work in progress. It's still a work in progress for sure, but I can see improvements within myself. So yes, proper time management is a skill, and like any other skill, this can be learned and can be mastered. So here I have a quick win for you. Get rid of your number one time waster today, right now. Believe me, the day you will get rid of that one thing, um, something that's not productive, say scrolling through social medias for forever, which was one of my number one time waster, or anything where you put on a lot of time and it is doing no good for you. Get rid of it, and you don't have to completely use it. Don't have to completely just try completely get rid of it, but just try to do it less. And trust me, you will have a lot of time in your hand, and your productivity will improve drastically. To-do list and not to-do list. I'm sure you all are well aware about to-do list, but not to-do list may be new to many of you. Personally, I can never stick to my to-do list. It's not my thing, I know. And not to do list, surprisingly, not to do list works like magic for me. As the name suggests, just like to do list, where you list things you need to get done, in not to do list, you list things that you cannot afford your time to do, uh, and I when I don't do the things that are in my not to do list, I end up doing something really productive. So yeah, give it a try, and you never know, like this may work for you. Start small. I highly recommend to not jump to achieve huge goals from the start, but rather start with something small, because you are more likely to stick to it in the longer run, And likewise, I would like to share something about Pareto principle. It is a scientifically proven principle for time management. It is also known as 80-20 rule. What it basically entails is, for every task you do, 20% of input will yield 80% of output, or results. And inverse is also true. That is, 80% input will yield 20% of result. In other words, the majority of result comes from minority of input. Time is something really valuable. Most people think working for more hours will make them more productive, but that's not the case. Being productive and achieving more is less to do with the amount of time you put in, but more to do with how you use the time you have in your hand. So this principle basically helps you to do more by doing less. There are a lot of videos in YouTube about this principle, so I highly recommend you all to go through that videos. It is really helpful. It did help me, and I'm sure this will help you too. Almost every time we already manage 100% of our time. So in the end, what you want to do with your time is always up to you and is always in your hand. And yeah, with this note, I would like to move to another part. I've asked how they manage the time to few people I really look up to, and I highly acknowledge, and I really hope that their answer will really help you all. So moving forward, Sher Singh Dhakkal is PhD student in North Carolina State University. She is also incoming machine learning intern at Apple, and is founder of Nepali Women in Computing. And here is what she has to say. So I will basically be narrating it. She said, I exercise and meditate in the morning. I divide my work into smaller chunks that is achievable within an hour. This is the point I really recommend you all to do. I allocate 4 hours per day for research and study related works. Rest of the time, I either read a book or paint or plan things for my other projects, including NWIC, Nepali Women in Computing. I go internet free at least an hour every day. It helps me keep sane. And finally, she says, I make sure I sleep on time except for a few weeks in the semester when I'm not able to. So I think these are really great tips, and I highly recommend you all to really give it a try. Likewise, I've also asked Sophie Busi. She is community manager at Microsoft, and here is what she has to say. She said, I use sticky notes and calendar to prioritize important tasks and to-do lists. Once I have the to-do list, I divide my time for each task and make sure to complete them within the timeline I set. I set up a timer for each task and move on to the next one. So I don't get stuck on the same task for two. And I make my desk and computer's desktop neat so that I can find the files and documents easily. Also, I find time to rest after a few hours of work. This helps me keep focused. Finally, Irina Stapit, who is UX researcher at Microsoft and is co-founder of Aziz, which is a social enterprise that empowers elderly people, she said, I write a to-do list to see what all the tasks I have throughout the day, personal or professional. This helps me to see how much time I need to dedicate to each work or just plan the day which one to do first. So these all are really great tips from really amazing people. And as you may have noticed, all of them have different approach to managing the time, but that is what works for them. When it comes to time management, there is no right or wrong way. There may be things that works for others but not for you, and vice versa. So try to find the things that work for you. Do some experiments, and in the final note, and in this note, I would like to end my presentation, and I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rashika, for providing the hacks for time management in such a sweet and clear voice. We really enjoyed the entire session, and I guess this was one of the most needed session for all of us during this lockdown. And now, moving forward with the question, we have a question from Sangya Sherpa, and he says, I used to get frustrated when things don't work as I planned, and time managing becomes so messy. So, any suggestions?
My first suggestion would be don't be harsh on yourself. Like I've said, start small. Start with small things that is something achievable. Let's say you have a bigger goal, but try to break it out into smaller chunks and something that can be achievable within an hour and perhaps within 30 minutes, and try to stick with it. And every time you do that thing, and this victory you get will carve a path towards achieving bigger goals. So yeah, that would be my suggestion for him.
Absolutely. Sometimes putting a lot of pressure on yourself might not work, whereas you need to be gentle on yourself as well. So here is another question from Sudeep Mishra. He says, how do you manage deadlines and how do you prioritize tasks?
So the way like I've said, I actually follow a not to do list. So what I do is I kind of every day, at the start of every day, I write things that I don't want to do that day, and then when I don't, let's say if I say I don't want to like browse through social media or watch movies, then I have so many free times in my hand, and I end up using that time because I'm quite a restless person. So I end up using that time to do something productive and things that I really have to do at that time. So that's something that works for me, and that's how I manage my time.
So here is one last question, which is not related for like to the time management itself, but then Pradeep Sapkota has asked you, as she is a intern data science student, I request her to tell something on the topic data science, how to start with it. Yeah, could you please take it forward?
Okay.
A
So,
little.
well, data science is, yeah, so data science is quite an interesting field. It's like you're working with data, and the data that made no sense in the first glance. When you start working with it, it starts to make total sense, and it's really amazing to see how everything starts to add up and gives you such an amazing insights about things. So so yeah, I think it's a really great field. It's more to do with mathematics than to do with computer science. So if you are someone who really enjoys mathematics, then I really suggest you to explore this field.
Thank you so much, Rashika. I guess we are done with the questions now. So, Sambhav, are you there?
Yes, I think we
Thank you
have
so much.
one last question.
One last. Oh, okay, so sure, let me
So
take
yeah,
that.
this is a very interesting question. So what do you suggest to entrepreneur for managing a proper time? So what would be your answer for this, Rashika?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I think I didn't get it.
Okay, what do you suggest
Uh-huh.
to an entrepreneur for managing proper time?
Um, for an entrepreneur, well, I'm not an entrepreneur to give to say to answer this question, but I think I think as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of task in your hand, right? You'll basically be working 24 hours a day. So I would suggest you to like take I would suggest you to not to be harsh on yourself. Try to like try to take rest after few hours of working, and yeah, so that would be it.